Daniel Sports Central will be covering a college football game preview and prediction on the Big 12 championship matchup between the Baylor Bears and the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Huge matchup coming up here in the Big 12 title game. We got major New Year's Six implications in this matchup, as well as college football playoff hopes for Oklahoma State on the line. Going to be a huge one coming up here in the Big 12 title game. We'll be going over a full game preview and prediction on this matchup here today, starting out with your team trends. Baylor beat Texas Tech in rivalry week 27-24. And the Bears have made it to a 10-win season. They're 10-2. And, this has been a huge surprise season for Baylor. The team with their inexperience heading into this 2021 season, not many people expected Baylor to be a major contender, but here they are, currently ranked in the top 10 as we head into championship week. So, for the Bears, it's been an outstanding season, and they've got a chance to win a Big 12 title here, currently with a 10-2 record and ranked number 9 in the AP poll. We'll see where they're ranked in the college football playoff rankings. I would assume they'll be in the top 10, considering where Baylor has been and how, they've won 3 straight games and they've performed excellent over the past few weeks. Oklahoma State is currently ranked number 5 in the AP poll. I currently have them at number 4 in my rankings after their win against Oklahoma, 37-33. Huge win for the Cowboys against the Sooners, their rival. That is huge. They are 11-1 and very much in the college football playoff picture right now. And this team has flown under the radar for most of this 2021 season. They've been a contender this entire year, but they've kind of been overshadowed by several other teams. And Oklahoma State, they're very much in the picture. They win this game, they've got a very strong argument to be in the top 4 for the college football playoff. And quite honestly, the Cowboys, that is a very real possibility that we see them playing for a chance at the national championship here in a few weeks. The game will be on Saturday, December 4th in Arlington, Texas. So obviously neutral location for your Big 12 title game, 11 a.m. Central Time is your kickoff. Spread's currently going Oklahoma State by 5. Over-under is 46.5. And your FPI is going Oklahoma State 63.7%. So obviously the spread here is just the opening spread, so that could change over the course of the week. Oklahoma State is favored, not too surprising seeing that, considering the way that they performed against Oklahoma this past week. It was a huge game, quite a matchup, one of the ones that I'll remember for a long time there between Oklahoma State and Oklahoma from start to finish. Just an outstanding game. Series history between these two teams, Oklahoma State leads at 22-18. Win streak is Oklahoma State by 2. And in the last 5, Cowboys lead at 3-2. So Oklahoma State has had more success in this series, but Baylor has won 18 games against the Cowboys. Here's your stat comparison for this matchup. Baylor's got 33 points per game, and their offense has been the big surprise for me this season. With Bahanan coming in, I was pretty uncertain about him. I wasn't quite sure whether he'd be able to lead this team to a great season or not. Personally, going into this 2021 season, as did many other people, I thought Baylor would be like a 6-7 win team roughly. I did not expect them to be a major contender for the Big 12, and so that's why it's been such a big surprise season for Baylor, which is huge for this program. They had a great season back in 2019 as well. This team has really been playing well in recent history. Pass yards a game 218, rush yards a game 227, and then for yards allowed 228 passing, 124 rushing. As for Oklahoma State, pretty similar stats, 31 points per game, 16 points allowed, 217 pass yards a game, 191 rush yards, and then for yards allowed, 184 passing, 91 for rushing. So this is one of the best defenses that we've seen in the Big 12 in quite some time. They've been playing outstanding, 16 points per game, and even with the yardage, it's been great for Oklahoma State, and that's been a big advantage for them because obviously the Big 12 is more of a higher scoring conference. We see some very high-powered offenses, especially that's been the current trend over the past decade in the Big 12. And so for Oklahoma State to have an outstanding defense as they have, it's been huge for the Cowboys this 2021 season. And offensively, they don't have the best offense. They don't have the best offense in the nation by any means, but they've got a good enough offense to definitely be a contender. Some recent matchups, Baylor, of course, lost to TCU. That's the one standout loss on this team's schedule. You should have beaten TCU, but didn't turn out to be that way. But they've played very well over the past 3 games since that loss. They beat Oklahoma 27-14. Oklahoma being one of the best teams in the Big 12, and that's the reason why Baylor is in this Big 12 title game, is because they've got the tiebreaker over Oklahoma. They lose that game, and they wouldn't be in this title game right now. Also beat Kansas State. That's a good football team, 20-10. That was a road win. And beat Texas Tech 27-24. Also beat Texas, if you look back to October, 31-24. Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma 37-33. They've played outstanding recently. They beat Texas Tech 23-0, beat TCU 63-17, beat West Virginia 24-3, and beat Kansas 55-3 as well. I mean, Oklahoma State, if you guys remember, back in the early parts of the season, I wasn't too certain whether this team was for real or not. They played a lot of close games to mediocre opponents, but this team has improved drastically over the course of the season. I mean, the second half of this year has been, this team has looked like one of the best teams in the country, and I definitely think this team is now worthy of being a college football playoff team the way that they've played over the past few weeks, and that Oklahoma win just caps it off and really shows and confirms this team is for real. Oklahoma State, the way they've played, this is a very good football team here. Some key points: Baylor 10-2, currently ranked number 9 in the AP poll. They've played outstanding all season long. I mean, their win against Oklahoma once again set up this appearance, and I mean, for Baylor, this is a major opportunity. You could win a Big 12 title here in a pretty challenging conference this season. I mean, with Iowa State and Oklahoma, those were the two teams that were expected to be in this game in the preseason, and of course, Iowa State hasn't played near as well. And I mean, Oklahoma State and Baylor, huge credit to both these teams for getting here. Abram Smith, watch out for him. He's the running back for Baylor, and Bohannon, of course, has played well in some games as well. But yeah, he's a major impact player. He's been playing great all season long, and his stats have been outstanding. Oklahoma State 11-1, beat rival Oklahoma last week in a huge game. That was a huge win for the Cowboys, getting the win against them, and they've got a very strong argument. Personally, I think Oklahoma State should be in the college football playoff if they win this game. This is basically a playing game for them. I mean, they lose this game unless like chaos ensues. Oklahoma State wouldn't be in. But I think if they win this game, they definitely should be. I mean, you got, I would say, Georgia and Alabama, and you got Michigan, of course. I think Michigan and Georgia should both be in. Michigan, I expect them to beat Iowa. And then, of course, you got Cincinnati. If they go undefeated, they've got a strong argument. So, I mean, if you got Cincinnati, you got Georgia, you got Michigan. Potentially, the committee puts in Alabama over Cincinnati or Oklahoma State. We'll see. But personally, if you're asking me, and if Cincinnati wins out and Oklahoma State wins this game, I would definitely pick in a one-loss Oklahoma State team with a Big 12 championship on their resume over a two-loss Alabama team. So, yeah, very interesting situation here for the college football playoff. Definitely, we don't know much about the college football playoff and who's going to be in it right now. I mean, anything can happen. We could see Michigan lose and Cincinnati lose, and we could see Alabama win potentially. Georgia, that would be chaos, but it's definitely possible in this 2021 season. But that said, let's get to the prediction here for the Big 12 title game. I'm going to go Oklahoma State here in a close one, 27-23. I could see both teams winning this game easily. Baylor, I mean, Baylor's had a great season. They're 10-2. They know how to win football games, obviously, because of their record. But I think Oklahoma State with more on the line here. I mean, Baylor, their hopes at the college football playoff are pretty much over, regardless if they win this game. I mean, you got a New Year's Six bowl game. Maybe even if you lose this game, potentially they could get to a New Year's Six as well. So we'll see what happens. Oklahoma State, though, I definitely think if they win this game, they're in very much the college football playoff picture, and they should be in the top 4 if you ask me. We'll see what happens. But Oklahoma State, I do expect them to win this game. They're the more talented team. They've been playing better recently, and they've been on fire over the past November. Probability 55%, so I'm going to keep it close here. Just kind of say, I mean, I could see both these teams winning this matchup. Potentially Oklahoma State with all the pressure. It'll be interesting to see how they hold up. But yeah, over-under is 46.5. I'm going to take the over for this game by a few points. And Baylor, I do expect them to cover right now the spread, which is 5 points towards Oklahoma State. But once again, kind of a tough game to bet on because, I mean, we know a lot about both these teams. But then again, I mean, both teams could certainly win this game. But I'm going to go Oklahoma State here, 27-23. Let me know your thoughts and comments below, and I appreciate you guys all watching as always. Stay tuned for more from All Sports Central. I'll see you later.